In this week's article, I talk about residue management, or more importantly, the removal of your corn stover after crop season. Hi, I'm Mike Zwingman, Agronomy R&D Manager for Central Valley Ag. This is your Monday Agronomy Update video that coincides with the ReachOut article in CVA blog site. There's being some investments made in some parts of CVA territory in uses of corn stover as feed sources for cattle and other uses throughout our industry. This has brought up some questions posed to me by some of the CVA growers, so I decided I'll just answer them all just like this. Do I think stover removal is a valuable part of your operation or could be a valuable tool in your operation? The answer is maybe. There's a lot of things to consider. One, from site selection. We want to make sure we're not working with any highly erodible soils or any soils where we're going to have any issues where we might have some erosion problems. We also need to think about our rotation. How are we going to rotate those acres? How are we going to do that to manage this long term? And then, are you willing to use cover crops? Are you willing to seed in some cover crops to help increase that organic matter and protect your soil health, your water infiltration rate, and your soil water holding capacity? That's only the first step. Once we've selected the acres that might be right for you, we have to talk about the management considerations when it comes to stover removal. There's going to be a fertility removal that we're going to have to replace. A lot of phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen, magnesium, and sulfur is removed when we take off that residue. In a corn crop like this standing here behind me, we'll realistically be able to take about 2.2 tons of residue per acre off this field. And in that 2.2 tons, we're going to have to replace a pretty good fraction of those nutrients I mentioned earlier, and we're going to have to replace them immediately so it doesn't affect your yield. So we need to think about that cost as we're talking about this removal process. But the advantages are larger than we think. We were going to reduce the allelopathic effect of corn on corn because we're going to reduce that residue. We're going to reduce the immobilization of nitrogen. We're going to get better stands with more consistent stand emergence and better vigor early on because we're not going to have so much residue to deal with, and we're not going to hairpin it. We're not going to have problems with root development, and that's all going to lead us to about a 7 to 10 bushel yield increase. But we have to manage through all these things. We have to think about how it's going to affect your operation long term, because we're removing a very precious nutrient when we remove this residue. We're removing carbon. We're removing the ability to grow our organic matter, and we're going to have to find a way to supplement it, replace it, and manage it through our future. So do I think residue management or stover removal is right for you? On the right acres, it's a very valuable tool for us to be able to manage through some of those problems in the spring. But we have to go through the time and select the fields correctly. And if you have any questions on how to go through that process and how to select fields, contact your local CVA field sales agronomist or myself, and we'll be happy to walk you through it. As always, be safe, and we'll see you next week.